Hello, friends, and welcome to the PowHERful Podcast. I'm your host, Janeé Kassanavoid. In this podcast, we introduce you to powerful women who are changing the game in and outside of their field of play. These are women's stories, women who happen to be doing things that many of us can only dream of, but the lessons and inspiration they share is universal. What's up, everybody? It is Janeé Kassanavoid back with another episode of the PowHERful Podcast, and I am so thrilled because for this episode, we actually have our very first two-time guest. You all met her, fell in love with her bravery, her beauty. In the first season of the PowHERful Podcast, our inaugural season, Janeé Kassanavoid is a badass hammer thrower. She is the first Indigenous woman to have won a hammer medal at a World Championships back in 2022. And we had her on in the lead up to the Paris Olympics in 2024. And everything was poised for her to make that Team USA. And then disaster struck in Eugene. She had what she has called the worst day of her throwing career and didn't make the team. And so this last year has been all about picking yourself up and being resilient after a very, very deep disappointment. And the lessons that she shares about how she picked herself back up, about where she is now, because spoiler alert, she did just qualify for another World Championships, is so powerful. It's the definition of it. So I cannot wait for you guys to hear this episode. And let me reintroduce you to Janeé. And so I am so excited to be welcoming back Janeé Kassanavoid. Oh my gosh, girl, it has been a year since we last talked to you. You were one of the inaugural athletes that we had in season 1 of the PowHERful. You are a badass hammer thrower who literally just made it to Tokyo for Worlds. Your third World Champs you're going to be competing in. You had a great performance at Hayward Field at Nationals, which is what locked in your spot. And in addition to all the things that you've accomplished so far, I'm just so excited to talk to you as a human being because your vulnerability and your strength stuck with me last season, and I have a feeling that we're just going to dive deeper this time. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, so excited to be back and happy to be making the world team this year once again. So, just excited to continue the journey and keep throwing that medal ball far. So that's the goal.
Yes, so I probably should have reintroduced that aspect also. But Janeé, one of the best hammer throwers in the entire world. So we caught up for the first time when you were trying to qualify in Paris. We met up at one of your meets, one of the qualifying meets in Tucson. I got a chance to watch you throw that big heavy metal ball, and I remained absolutely impressed. Walk me through what happened shortly after we got a chance to connect ahead of the Paris Games.
Yes. So as normal, we kind of start our season early May and then just kind of prepare our best foot forward for our nationals. And with the 2024 Olympic year is our Olympic trials. And so going back to Eugene in high hopes and good faith that we would be making our first Olympic team after falling very, very short in 2021, but we've come back stronger. We've grown a whole bunch and we learned just a lot more about the event altogether. So taking that knowledge, taking that confidence and going after it in the trials, we just fell really short. I think we finished 6th at that meet, and there's really no excuse other than I had probably one of my worst days in my career, which is unfortunate because that is the US process and that is the system put in place to create equality and fairness in our selection process. So unfortunate, but we keep on grinding it out and we just focus on what we can do next, and that's just part of it. So
it is so hard when an entire 3 cycles of season come down to that one single day, and knowing that it's a part of the system and the process, it sort of eases the sting, but in some ways it almost makes it worse because you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I worked so hard for. Talk me through how you woke up the next day and said, okay, I'm going to get back up. I'm going to put another foot in front of the other and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. I definitely think 21 honestly stung a little bit harder just because I was so close and I was in 4th and then the alternate, but coming out of that year and really just getting right back to work, took very minimal time off, got right back to work, was able to still hop in a couple competitions to finish out the season strong. And then coming back for 2022 and following it up with my second medal in 2023, like just one thing after another, just to keep the spirits up and being like, hey, we do belong here. We are one of the best in the world. Just regaining that confidence back in the circle was a huge thing that I think I needed going into 2024. But like I said, if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be, and not my day. But it still doesn't take away from all the growth and all the success I have had in this sport. Every great athlete has a bad day. And so it's hard to hear because I'm so competitive and so driven, and it's what I've worked for, right? And I think the biggest unfortunate part of it is when people ask me, what do you do, or what sport do you participate in? And I say, oh, track and field. And their number one sense of being important or being the best is, oh, are you an Olympian, or did you make the Olympics? And I got to say, not yet. Haven't got that one on the resume, but definitely working toward it. We're still a 2-time world medalist, still, one of the best in the US and the best in the world. So I think my purpose as an athlete in sport and out of sport is bigger than just, having that Olympic title next to my name. So
1,000,000%. And it's so crazy how that's one of the things that is so hard about these sports that only come around and get the spotlight every 4 years, right? Is you're kind of like, well, yeah, I miss this competition. And I understand that, like, that's the one that has all the sponsors and all the world's attention. But, like, you just listed off some of your accolades, and another one being that in 2022, when you won that bronze in Eugene at Hayward Field, you became the first Native American woman to medal at Worlds as a hammer thrower. Your purpose is so much bigger, but how did you remind yourself of that in those moments, in those weeks after the trials last year?
Yeah, I think the big one was having my family there. It's very hard just with travel to track and field, and we're all over the world, and then just they have a bunch of little ones, and so it's very hard for them to travel and to catch my meet. So I'm just like super hyper independent in that way. It's rare track and field, like all of us as individuals, we rarely even travel with our coach. We don't have a team. We don't have training partners. And so going into that meet, it was amazing to have a handful of close family and friends there in attendance. And I think from 2021, like I was kind of just there alone, and like everyone was sending messages and like, what's going on? What happened? Like, oh, fell so short. And I just like did not want to touch my phone after that. Like it was very, very hard, very emotional. But I think just kind of understanding the process and accepting it after I took that 6th round throw and really set with, okay, another year. Like it literally just slipped from my fingertips. Like, wow, we're here again, and not close this time, but like really far off. And we just completely missed it. But I look over at my family, and of course they're like, oh, we're so proud of you. You did so great. And I'm just like, ugh, no, like, get away from me. I don't want to talk to anybody. But, it's all love, and they're going to support me regardless. It's just, as an athlete, something you've worked so hard for that is seen as a huge accomplishment in our sport. I just wanted it, and I wanted it really bad. So having them there allowed me to not basically crumble and turn into a dark corner and just close everyone off. So kind of releasing the hammer in the 6th round throw, I just, gave a thank you to everyone for being there and cheering on, because at the end of the day, we still are going to hold our head up high and keep being the strong Indigenous woman that we are, and holding representation and like sharing my journey as much as possible, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So
I just read a quote that was talking about how essentially the heart of it is how it is so nice and gratifying to get applauded when you do something really well, but it's almost more, there's something different about being thanked for your vulnerability in the middle of disappointment, because it feels like in your accomplishments, congratulations, you became an Olympian, congratulations, you won worlds, congratulations, like that is a you thing that so few people are ever going to be able to relate to. But in this moment, it feels like you were gracious and willing to be honest in the middle of disappointment. And Being honest in the middle of disappointment, girl, I think that is harder than making any Olympic team because it's something that is so vulnerable, but everyone can relate to. Everyone can relate to being disappointed and to not showing up the way they wanted to show up and to having something go wrong on a big day. And how you showed up is what is going to stick with people so much longer than if you'd made the team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't realize it in that moment. I was just like, okay, it's fine. We're fine. Let's just thank y'all for being here. Like, we tried our best. It is what it was. But then, like, having my mom, when I called her later that evening, and she was just like, hey, I am really proud of like how you carried yourself, and like, you didn't give any excuses and like, you just still held your character up high. And I think that's what I love and have enjoyed watching about you, but also I think what everyone else can admire and appreciate. So yeah. We try.
Oh, well, you did a fantastic job in the moment, and I was so excited to watch you this past weekend go back to not the scene of the crime, but go back to the spot that I'm sure was hard to return to, where you're like, oh no, I have to do that. How did you face down those demons when you walked back into Hayward Field, knowing the last time that you were here, things did not go the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, well, it was really nice 2 weeks prior. I think it was 3 weeks in total, but we were able to compete in the women's hammer throw for the Diamond League at Pre-Classic. So that was a first little rip off the Band-Aid. Let's get into this ring. Let's make it better than last time, but also just get a feel for everything and reset our scenery, reset our surroundings so that when we come back, when it matters, when we have to be on our A game, we know how to do it correctly this time. And so that was the biggest goal going into that competition, and throwing, 74 meters, just under 75. I feel like if you can do that consistently anywhere in the world, like, you're going to be okay. And so that's just really what I was striving for, is like, hey, feel the ground underneath you, be connected with the ball. And no matter what, like, just keep trying to do that over and over. And so I feel like we did a good job, but through the whole season, we had this pattern of having our best farthest throw on the last round. So it was a definite low bow season, last one, best one, which I'll take it. But I was like, all right, we got to switch that order around for USA's because we need it in the first three. I like that we can still find energy and still get some really good throws in at the end, but we need it in the first three. And so kind of just when we got back to Florida after our last competition and priming up for USA's, connecting with my team and talking about strategy, talking about nervous system, kind of how we can approach mental, emotional, and physical. And just, we did such a good job, I think, all together in communication and just expressing like, this is the goal and how can we get there? And I'm really happy with the performance. Of course, top three is the goal, but knowing that I had a little bit of a safety net with a wild card in the field, going into that sixth round, couldn't be happier, kind of solidifying my spot on the team. I could take a breath of fresh air and then move past this and focus on the bigger goal down the road.
Yeah. What was the strategy that you employed to get out of the low bow?
I had to actually be active on the day of the competition and not just sit around on my bum all day and reserve energy. I actually got up at 7:30. I went for a walk, woke the body up, woke the brain up, went to the gym and did some mobility exercises for the upper body and like fired up like my glutes and my hips. So I guess I just, it's not recommended, even I've been told my entire career, just to chill out and be super energy reserving. But this year, working with more strength coach focus and more people who are involved in like body mechanics and things of that nature, we just woke the body up, kept it fired, kept it engaged, to allow us to not kind of work through the series and get warmed up. We started right from the beginning. And so having the farthest series now at that first throw is what really got me through the rest of the competition.
Yeah, that's a wild thing to think about, because I feel like kind of goes back to like this idea that, a warm-up makes a big difference. Obviously, you have a warm-up before you like get into the trial or into the competition itself in your first throw, but there's an element of even learning that process, that because your sport is so niche and because it's like dominated by so few, it really is such a personal process to figure out, like, what do I need to do? There's not, it's not like a football team where you all warm up together, or like soccer, you have these drills. It's like you have to figure out what works best for you. And when you think about really like the context of your professional career, it hasn't been like the longest of time. So it makes sense that you're still dialing it in and figuring out how to get better. And so then it's so sick to see that be the result at Hayward, to not just have it be the result, obviously, where you qualify for Worlds and are going to Tokyo, but taking this like kind of this more important main goal of like, as long as I start strong, that's what I want to do. How gratifying is that to feel like this was the goal and this is exactly what I executed, regardless of what the results were.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I've been doing this since 2014 when I first picked it up as a freshman and going into K-State, where I was just solely a hammer thrower. We're like, hey, throwers don't do warm-ups. Throwers just get right into it and do the bare minimum and things of that nature. And so I bought into that, and I just realized, okay, well, it's worked so far. Let's just keep going with it. But understanding there is a lot more to your body and your nervous system, that if you can tap into different areas and try new things. Like, I am getting older. I'm 30 now, so it takes me a lot longer of a warm-up than just strapping up the shoes, throwing on some tape, and like getting into the ring. So I'm super appreciative of the team that I have gotten to work with this year. We've made a lot of big, good changes. So I'm excited to anchor down these next 6 weeks and see what we can do in Tokyo.
Were there any moments, maybe after you qualified in Eugene or along the way in the last year, that really stand out to you as like milestone moments that you feel like these were the identifying moments of this last year? Like, this was my low, but this was the time that I knew I was going to get out of it. And this was the time that I had the first proof that I was on my way out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, what were those moments for you this year?
I definitely feel like after last season, I was kind of in an odd point of getting out of working with my coach, not in a bad sense, but there were situations that came up where I was training to where I couldn't be training outside. We didn't have facilities. So it was kind of just a struggle training. There were hiccups and things of that nature. So I didn't want that to be an excuse or a reason or a stressful situation to burden throwing hammer, and because that's my focus. And so I'm able to kind of, when life goes wrong or bad things happen, I'm able to kind of tune all the noise out and just say, hey, I'm a hammer thrower. I've done this a million times. We can still be great regardless. And so that transition in April to May, I moved to Florida. And so I took a big risk, but, I was like, hey, I need to be somewhere where I can train all year round. I can be outside, just really buy into the commitment of training and giving it my best shot for the trials. But unfortunately we came up short, but still, betting on myself, taking a risk, putting myself first, and like prioritizing my health was huge. I didn't want to have someone control every aspect of my life and throwing and training. And I just wanted more feedback from multiple brains and people who can work collaboratively as a team. Because I figured I have progressed and developed over 10, 11 years, and I've always went up the ladder and gotten better. And so falling short, having the worst possible me, even trusting my base, trusting the millions of throws I've taken in my lifetime, like, we can still get through this, and thinking that my base level is good enough. And it just really wasn't. And so after the trials, it was definitely a time to take a step back, reflect, create a plan for this year, and just think, let's get better. But also understanding that if I do go in a different direction, or I leave the coach that I've always worked with, like, it is a scary time and we're taking a risk and it may not work out, or it's a rebuilding phase. So I have been coaching myself technically in the hammer this year, and it's just been giving me kind of room to breathe and get my head above water and just appreciate and find love for the sport again, and not having any pressure attached to it. So taking that time away. After the trials, I went abroad and traveled to 5 different countries and just competed for fun, and was just like, hey, it's okay, you're still good. And then like competing and doing well and performing well despite not going to the Olympics, when everyone in those fields of competitions were going to the Olympics. I was like, it's okay, we're fine. Just keep throwing and just keep trying to enjoy the remainder of the season. And then we'll take time off, get back after it, but approach it in a different way. And so it was definitely through the winter months, just seeing my training marks be completely different than years past was kind of like scary, because I was like, ooh, this is different, but we also don't know how it's going to play out. And we train all year round. So you really just have to buy in, trust it, and do the work until those, May opening competitions happen. And so going back to Tucson, where it's usually my best performance, and throwing 76 meters where I haven't thrown that far in the past 2 years, I was like, hey, okay. We're all right. We're in the right spot. And I think that was a good moment going forward of like, hey, we're right back where we belong. We can do this. Like, just don't get in your head too much and just go out and throw. So that definitely, that May meet was a breath of fresh air. And then just continuing to go through the plan as originally we all discussed as a team. And so, yeah, it's just been fun. It's been great. And so I've enjoyed Florida. I've enjoyed the sticky humidity. And again, just getting after it another year on a team.
Yeah. You mentioned kind of falling back in love with the sport again. And I feel like the more often I talk to athletes at this level, the more often there is a moment where they have to decide, do I still love this? And it's typically after a big disappointment, a big injury, a moment that they're like, oof, that one hurt a lot, right? Whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. How did you decide that you still love throwing hammer?
Oh, that's a hard one. I do love hammer, and I do love track and field just because I've been in it for so long. And when I first started, I had no idea of the world, especially on a professional level. But I think just all together, I love being an athlete, because if it wasn't throwing hammer, it'd be sand volleyball, or it'd be slow pitch softball. It'd be something that just has a competitive, fun atmosphere. I love all sports. I love being physically active. I love just hopping in a game for fun. Even if it's like with my nieces and nephews, and I'm going to beat them every time. But,
yes.
And so I definitely think also just being the last of my siblings who had so much pressure to like live up to the name, and oh, you're so-and-so's little sibling. And I'm like, no, I'm Janeé Kassanavoid. And just having this journey of kind of establishing my own name and establishing my own legacy. Like, we haven't fully completed it, but we're still working on it, and just continuing to break barriers and create history and, navigate the space of track and field, being one of the first, Indigenous women to medal. It's still like, I'm still just like, how, in 2022, how am I the first? And, where are we going wrong, where athletes don't feel like they can continue or be successful or be at the top of the level? Because just in our culture alone, like, we're raw athletes in a lot of our upbringings and our way of life. And so just kind of continuing to pave the way and continuing to be an athlete, and just enjoying life at the same time. You can sacrifice so much and work so hard and possibly overtrain and then get into injury and still come up short. So I feel like there's a perfect balance of life and sports to never give yourself to one thing, because I just feel like I've done that and I've still come up short. And so I feel like from here going forward, I'll do the best I can, but I'm also never going to give myself more than anything. And I know after sport too, I have so many other passions. I still want to go to culinary school. I still want to finish and get my dietitian degree and be a registered dietitian. So I have so many aspirations with so little time. I just feel like, I want to see the sport career through fully until it's my time to hang up the shoes. But right now, we're going to keep going, and hopefully 2028, we can see that through.
Yeah, compete on the home turf in 2028. I want to talk on this incredible collaboration that I about lost my mind over, because I think it personifies some of what you're talking about with owning and being proud of and representing your Indigenous heritage. And tell me a little bit about how the collab with Pendleton came out ahead of the Prefontaine Classic, because y'all about broke the internet with these blankets. And as a proud owner of a Pendleton blanket, I was obsessed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what we need. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, it was really a dream come true. And being a Nike athlete is an amazing accomplishment. It's, the goal of a lifetime, but then also having the collaboration and partnership with the N7 family, giving Indigenous athletes a platform to share their story and really just uplifting, inspiring stories and powerful people doing amazing things. Like that is top of the notch. Like that's all I've ever wanted. And so the two of them working together and working towards the Prefontaine Classic, they reached out and they were doing the silent auction with a couple of merchandise pieces, and Pendleton was up in the runnings. And they're like, we would love you to kind of not really be the face, but an athlete who's competing in pre and who's Indigenous with Pendleton, like just spotlight the release of Sam McCracken, the CEO of N7, his specialty design from a 2013 campaign. They put it into the Pendleton. So I'm just like in awe. I am speechless. I'm so honored. And of course I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so not only was the unboxing like I'm shaking and about to cry, but then seeing the pictures that we did take and like Pendleton sharing it. I mean, I'm just so incredibly honored and humbled to be a part of it. So yeah, it was a really, really great moment.
Oh, it was incredible to see. And as soon as I saw it, I just was thinking back to our conversation last year about how important it is for you. And that's why I said earlier, it's so impressive how you handled yourself in the disappointment, because you are being looked up to by a lot of the next generation of Indigenous athletes, Indigenous girls who are saying, oh, okay, this is what I'm capable of. This is what's possible for me. I can be a track and field athlete. I can get to work with Nike and Pendleton and all these incredible brands. In all the lows of the last year, how did that fall and feel in terms of a big win?
Yeah, I think that's just what it was. Like, no matter how heartbreaking it was and where I felt like, gosh, here we are again, and we're just not good enough, or what is it about me and these dang trials that's not wanting to work together. But I think despite it all and how I've been able to recover so quickly and it not be as gut-wrenching as 2021 is because of the supportive, outpouring amount of love and encouragement that has been received from the Native community, and my family and friends and all of the relationships I have built over the course of my career. Just everyone, no matter what the outcome, good or bad, like they've just been like, we love you no matter what, like keep your head up, like your story's been so inspiring. And I think, again, my purpose is so much bigger than sport. Being representation and just knowing that if you look like me, that you can do amazing things and you can be one of the best, but also just giving the younger generation hope and being a woman and being strong and being powerful. Like all of these things are so, so important that sometimes I forget about that. There are people watching, there are people tuning in, and just how impactful it will be to those younger athletes. So hopefully we get more athletes at this level, but also hammer throwers, bringing hammer to the world and introducing it. So yeah, it's all been super humbling, but just an amazing experience. And I'm so thankful for all of the love that I have received.
Yeah, man. Well, I cannot wait to watch you at Worlds. I cannot wait to watch you compete in Tokyo and just continue to share what it is to be a growing, learning, trying new things human being. Because I think that it is so easy to beat ourselves up when we fall short, but I also feel like we fall short because we're trying hard things, and that's why it's hard. That's why there's so few who are doing it. And so I think it's much braver to show up and fail than to not show up. And I'm just really, really stoked that you keep showing up because it matters. So
thank you.
Yeah, girl. Okay, before we get too teary, we're going to switch gears. This is called Something to Sip On, brought to you by the Sports Bra. You may remember this from last season. But I want to know, what are we sipping on these days? After visiting 5 countries, did our post-competition drink change?
Oh, well, I really haven't told anybody this except for my close friends, but This is the first season ever that I have been sober.
Okay.
And it's crazy to say, but like first time since 17, going on longer than 2 to 3 months sober. So it was a really just powerful moment again to tap in to that. What can we change? What can we do better to compete at the highest levels? And so that was just a little thought. And then once we did it, we're like, can we keep going? Can we be disciplined? Can we say no? I love wine. I love margaritas, a little brunch mimosa. It's all so yummy. But really just being diligent in that process and being sober, just to see if it can bring us to that next level. So that is just like a nice little tidbit to how the season's going.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's a mocktail then. So what's the mocktail that we're sipping on? What's our go-to? What's our go-to?
I always go to a Shirley Temple. I feel like you can't go wrong. I love a little cherry syrup and Sprite. Yes.
I know. My go-to for your next effort out is I do a ginger ale with cranberry juice. And it is shockingly good. If they have fresh mint, I put that in there too. And it is like, it's delicious. It's because I've been sort of dabbling with the same sort of thing, especially in events and stuff like that. And it's one of those like, oh, this is nice, because it's nice to have something different at the end of the day. You know, like my body has learned too much that there's a drink reward at the end of the day. So how can we switch this up? And I love it. It's like my biggest. I'd go to it all the time now. So I love that. So we're serving mocktails these days because we have a world championship to win. So I like that.
Exactly.
Okay, our next segment is called Powered Up, and these are 3 things that power you up to get ready to throw that metal ball as far as you possibly can. So I want to know, what is the weirdest exercise that is so unique to hammer that you have to do to warm up?
Interesting. I would say for me now, it's probably just my back mobility exercises.
Okay.
And just like doing all these very interesting turns and twists and things that I haven't ever done before. Like I said, we're getting old, so that's probably one. But number 2 is running. I do run now. I used to be team no cardio. And you won't see many hammer throwers being agile in the warm-ups. And then number 3, I would just say pickles, because before every meet, if not during the meet or after the meet, I always have my snap pickles on deck. I don't go anywhere without them. They're a huge part of my training regimen for sure.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
We're obsessed.
That's good to know. What is the one song that if it comes on your headphones, it immediately gets you into go mode?
Yes, that is Stadium Powwow by Hallucination. It is all the emotions tuned in, and I really have to be careful about the timing of when I play it, because it gets the blood going. It gets me also like teary-eyed, because I just, it's so powerful. So yes, that one is definitely on the list.
I like it. And then last but not least, what is the one piece of equipment that you always double, triple check is in your bag? Like, what is the one thing that you're like, oof, I need to make sure this thing is in here? It can be the ball.
It can or can't?
Yeah, no, it can. It can.
Okay. Yeah, definitely in my competition hammer. That is the biggest thing. We're just so picky with knowing and liking our specific implement, to if it wasn't there or somehow it didn't check into the meet, like it would throw me off entirely. So yeah, me and my hammer go hand in hand. We're locked in.
I remember, I'm going to put it over this part of the podcast, because I remember you strutting in Tucson last year, just like carrying the hammer. And it was just like an extension of your arm. You're like, yeah, this goes with me everywhere. I'm never without it. Do you have to,
exactly.
Do they just treat that like a weight in airports, or like, how does that work?
They ask so many questions. I never go through TSA or like open my luggage when I arrive where I'm at, and it's like, TSA checked your bag. I'm just like, ugh. But yeah, it looks a little funky when I have a carry-on suitcase that I pack my training hammers, my foam roller, my speaker, like tripod and everything. And there's probably like 5 balls in the corner of the suitcase with like wires and handles wrapped around. They're probably thinking it's some type of not good thing.
Definitely check
it's
this
just
one.
Metal. Yeah. Yeah, every time I go to Kenya, they have security before you get into the airport. And so they're like, come over here. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. They're like, what is this? And I'm like, athletics, hammer, Matilda. I don't know how to explain.
Have you ever have you dialed in your answer to these questions? Like, do you already come up with a speech, or do you wait for them to ask questions?
No, I definitely wait for them to ask. And then I usually always just, with the language barrier sometimes, I just have to pull up my phone and be like, athletics, track and field, like Team USA, somewhere, just let me get these through.
Yeah, you're like, I swear this is allowed on this airplane. Please just let me through. Have you ever had a situation where you weren't allowed on, or you had to miss a flight or something like that?
No, okay. It's always in my check bag. I've never tried to risk it because I like to get to the airport right at the latest possible second. So it just always goes in the check bag, and we just hope it makes it there.
Oh my gosh. Have you started putting the air tags in your checked bag? Because that's what my OCD has led me to now.
I have not. Thankfully, in a good while, I've not had anything not come through. I did lose a weight one time. I packed it in a Pelican suitcase, and the weight throw going to an indoor competition, I opened it because one latch was kind of up, and I was like, oh no. And it wasn't there when it came around the baggage claim.
Oh no.
So that's the last time I threw indoor weight.
Oh no, that's unfortunate.
Yes,
jeez.
Because those ones are not cheap.
But. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's brutal. Okay, little side quest down TSA dramas. That's funny because my surfboards, I'm always like, I put an air tag in my board bag now because it like gets so, like airports, it just gets so chaotic with layovers and stuff that it just helps my anxiety if I know where it is. So I can't do anything about it, but it just makes me feel better that like I know where it is. Okay, and then this question, my dear, has not changed. Maybe you have changed since I last asked you this question, but what does PowHERful mean to you?
PowHERful just means strong, beautiful, and resilient. And that's something I always repeat to myself a handful of times throughout competition, throughout training, stepping into the circle and taking a deep breath. Just establishing that confidence in who you are and what you believe in and where you come from is super powerful and can make you, unstoppable at what you do. And I think that's definitely a huge part in my journey in overcoming trials and tribulations. So, yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for joining us again on the PowHERful. It is just incredible to see you navigate this world and show up as your strong, beautiful, resilient self every step of the way amid every success, every disappointment. And it makes you just one of the easiest human beings to root for. So I cannot wait to see you in Tokyo.
Tokyo,
Yay. Let's go. We'll see you in September, girl. Good luck at that competition. We're rooting you on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on the PowHERful Podcast. We'll be back next week. This is a reminder to check us out every Tuesday, everywhere you get your podcasts. And if you really enjoy this and don't want to miss an episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button.